Om Sri Paramatmane Namaha. We will discuss about the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It is said by some that the Gita is completed in the second chapter itself, but the chapter can be accepted as a conclusion only if all the implication of action get elucidated by the mere naming of the process. In this chapter, Lord Krishna has told Arjuna to listen to him on the way of selfless action. For by knowing it, he will be liberated from the shackles of material life. He has the right only to act, but he has no right to the fruit of his action. At the same time, he ought not to lose dedication or to action. He must always be prepared to act. By the performance of such action, he secures the most exact knowledge of the self and of God, and achieves ultimate peace. All this Lord Krishna has said, but not what action is. In fact, the section popularly known as the yoga or way of discrimination is not a chapter. It is but a contrivance of reviewers rather than a creation of the poet of the Gita. There is nothing surprising in this because we can at best interpret a work only according to our own understanding. In this chapter, as we have seen, by expounding the merits of action and by indicating the precautions to be observed in the performance of action as well as the characteristics marks of the sage who has gained direct knowledge of the self and God through perception. Lord Krishna has aroused Arjuna's curiosity and also answered some of his queries. The self is immutable and eternal. Arjuna is exhorted to know it in order to learn reality. There are two ways of acquiring this knowledge: the way of discrimination of knowledge and the way of selfless action. Performance of the required action after a careful review of one's capacity and self-determination in the way of knowledge, where applying oneself to the same task with loving dependence on the worshipped God is the way of selfless action, also known as the way of pious devotion, Bhakti Marg. Goswami Tulsidas has portrayed the two ways, both leading to ultimate liberation. Thus, I have two sons. The elder son is a man of discrimination, but the younger one is a mere boy, devotee of me, like a faithful servant and desirous only of rendering me service and homage. The latter thus relies on me, whereas the form depends upon his own prowess. Both of them have, however, to struggle and fight against the same enemy, namely passion and anger. Lord Krishna says in the same way that he has two kinds of devotees. There is first the followers of the way of knowledge, Jnana Margi. Secondly, there is the followers of the way of devotion, Bhakti Margi. The men of devotion are doors of selfless action, finds a refuge in God, and proceeds on his chosen path with total dependence on his grace. Possessed of confidence in his own strength, on the contrary, that the man of discrimination goes along his way after making a proper evaluation of his own ability as well as of the profit and loss in the enterprise, but the two have a common goal and the same enemies. Not only the man of discrimination, but also the man of devotee has to overcome the same adversaries, namely anger, desire, and other implements. Both of them have to renounce desire and the action too that has to be performed under both the disciplines is one and the same. Supreme peace can be attained by performance of this action. Yet, Lord Krishna has not at this point explained fully to Arjun what this action is about altogether. Thus concludes the second chapter in the Upanishad of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita on the knowledge of the Supreme Spirit, the science of yoga, and the dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna entitled karm-Jigyasa or curiosity about action. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.